Greetings! This is Arvat McClaine with Speak, the Universe Listens. As a very young person, I always felt that I carried the weight of the world on my shoulders, having to make grown-up decisions in order to survive a life marked by physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. While my face was smiling on the outside, on the inside I was secretly crying and miserable. However, over the years, I learned some gems that helped to turn my life around. I now get to live the life of my dreams, filled with love, travel, and wonderment. And I am absolutely passionate about sharing what I have learned with you. If you want to live your best life, tune in each week as I, along with some awesome guests, share these life-changing gems with you. Inspired to be more, do more, have more. Greetings and thanks for joining us again. Today we have Scott McClaine in our studio once again joining us. Scott is the owner of Lifelong Realty and also the facilitator of A Course in Miracles study group, and my brother. So thank you for joining us again, Scott.
My pleasure. I'm honored. Honored to be here.
And we're honored to have you. So today's topic is the power of love.
Love is a very strong power, and the more we use it in all things that we do, we begin to see things fall in place easily and have more fun just by influxing every thought, every action with love. And even for people for salespeople that are out there, I'm trained as a sales team, of course. It's important for even our salespeople to reach out and instead of making phone calls to send love even through their phone before the call comes in and things of that sort, to make that connection with the people on the other end. And the more they do it, the easier it is for them to connect with people that maybe even have been praying to have that right agent on the other side. And is so nice sometimes. You can pick up the phone and get somebody on the phone and they're saying, I've been praying for you and here you are. And so just to influx everything that you're doing with that love. Often when we think of the word love, often a lot of people will think about relationships, so they're saying, I love you. But that love is often tainted a bit. It's like, I love you if, and
As
so,
long as.
as long as you do this, I'll continue to love you. And that's really more of a fear relationship rather than a love relationship. So often though we are feeling things with fear rather than love. Fear is the opposite of love per se, if you want to call it that. But that love could be implied to whatever it is that we're doing, anything it is that we're doing. And the more we do that, the easier of a process, the funner of a process, the more successful of a process it's going to be.
Yeah, I remember before I was kind of familiar with this process of doing everything that you do with love. I remember I used to have a school, and so I did every job in the school. And so I would always just rush through whatever job it is. If I was cooking lunch for the kids, I'm rushing through the lunch.
Just get it done.
Yeah, I just, it wasn't enough hours in a day, so I was just rush. And so, of course, I would have to mop the floors and things like that. And so one day I was mopping, and a lady showed up, and just from the community. And then when she saw me mopping the floor, I guess I was just slinging that mop so fast. She took the mop out of my hand and she was like, "No, honey, you have to mop this floor with love. Everything you do in this school, you need to do it with love because the children will be able to feel it." And so she shows me how to, mop the floor. And it's like she's doing this dance almost as she's mopping the floor, and the mop was just gliding. But I was just like, whatever, I'm glad she's mopping the floor. Go on to my next task. But years later, when I started thinking about just how all of this stuff fits together and how it flows together, and realizing that she was exactly right. Every action that you do
the more you can infuse love in it, the better it's going to be all around. The better you're going to be, the better the result is going to be, and the better whoever the recipient is going to be.
Yeah. You know, you think about, sometimes people talk about a home-cooked meal and how it just tastes so much better. You know, it was cooked with love. You know, you cooked it for the people you love and stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's that secret ingredient,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You know, there's been times I've gone to a restaurant and the employees in there putting the food together just look like they're mad. And I'm just like, you know what, never mind. Never mind.
Have you done that for real?
I have. I'm not going to eat that. Oh, no. But that energy, you know, I mean, of course, yeah, you can bless your meal and things of that sort to kind of counteract that. But you know, they were infusing the food with anger, with fear. And if I'm taking that and putting it into me, yeah, I don't want any parts of that.
Right.
You know, so. You know, so that, yeah, just filling whatever it is with love, you know, and it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference. You know, I mentioned a little earlier, because I don't know why I'm kind of, his spirit's kind of directing me here right now, I guess, just in the relationship aspect of love. And with so many people out there having relationship challenges, per se, and they're really in a scenario where they're saying, I love you if. And in that, I love you if, is really more of a bondage type of thing. And so it's like you're trying to hold this person captive, where you're controlling them. You're saying that I love you if you do this. And so you're holding them within, you know, your image of what you want them to do. And so the thing is, so anytime you're holding somebody else in bondage, you know, if you think about a jail, you know, I think Dad used to work at the prison once upon a time, and you know, so going there to keep other people prisoners, you have to be in jail with them, right? You know, you have to be there with them, and you know, so when you're holding somebody else in bondage, you're holding yourself in bondage as well, and whereas the ideal thing to do is to allow love to be itself. You know, if you think about the love that we have for each other, it's like no matter what happens, I will love you. You're my sister. You know, we go way back. You know, no matter what happens, you know, no matter what happens, you know, you can go out there and smack my car off to the river. It doesn't matter. I will still love you. And you know, that's that true love. That's that love where you're just gifting it freely. And that's part of the reason our relationship is so strong, you know. And whereas a lot of, like I said, I know a lot of people are having some challenges there because they are so busy holding the person in bondage.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like how you put that. So how would a person, I guess, get what they need out of a relationship without having the, I don't know, the boundaries, or what word am I looking for, the criteria, the rigidness, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you receive what you need out of the relationship?
Well, for me, I believe that the things that are most important when we give them away is when we receive them. And so if you know, if I come and give you a hug, what happens? You give me a hug. You know, if I give you love, if I'm giving you unconditional love, you almost have to give that unconditional love back because you begin to feel it. Now, will that happen instantly? Probably not. You know, if there's been a relationship of bondage versus bondage per se, you know, if that hate relationship versus hate relationship, it does take some adjustment. But it takes first that decision where one person can begin to say, I love you no matter what, even if you come home late. You know, even if, you know, and you might not have to say all of it, but to imply it, to mean it, to have that energy going out that simply, I love you. And the more you do that, the more the other person is going to begin to pick up on it, and they're going to feel that there's a change that's taking place. You know, so as you're giving that love, you're giving it in a way that it's automatically is coming back to you.
Now, I'm not proposing that you're a psychologist or anything like that, so if you can't answer this question, it's okay.
Okay.
But what about if you don't know, you've not received unconditional love yourself, or you don't even really know what it is? Like, how do you begin to develop that in a relationship?
So if you don't know what it is, start playing around with it. I mean, if you think about the love that most parents have for their kids, if you think about the love that that God has for us, there's a lot of people out here that are Christians. They believe that Jesus has that unconditional love, and so if you're thinking about the love that Christ would have, and just allow that Christ within you to love that Christ that's in the other person, and to just start playing with it from that perspective. No expectations, because I believe love doesn't have attachments. So there's no expectations that are there. It's just simply a different way of being. And so as you just start removing conditions from your love, like, to love your kid, whether they make A's or F's, to just love them. So if you remove the conditions from the love that you're sending, you'll find that you're feeling better automatically anyway, because the conditions are all removed. There's no attachments to it. So I'm not sending you this love so that I can get love. I'm sending you this love because that's who I am. And by me being love, then that's what I am love. And so I automatically have it.
It makes perfect sense to me, because I know one thing that I practice is I always say, well, I don't even want to tell you what I actually say. So, okay, I won't say what I actually say. So there's a phrase that I say, but what it means is, loosely translated, is I radiate love like a bonfire. And so, so I'm actually in my mind practicing radiating love like a bonfire. And so I'm seeing love being poured in, and then I'm radiating it out to the world.
Nice.
And sometimes when I'm really active in it, it's like, I think most of the times I notice it. I notice that people notice that I'm doing that.
Yes.
Like, I notice that people are looking at me like different, or like they smile, and and they're looking at me like I know you, or something like that. So doing that, I feel like I'm walking around as love, but I also feel like that very act heals everyone that's in the room that I walk into.
Yes. And, it's interesting. I do something somewhat similar, and so I began to think about each cell in my body radiating that love, radiating that light, and it just expands from every cell in the body at the exact same time, and then it just explodes outward. And so everyone that's around me is then also engulfed in that love as well. And so it's different, but it's similar. There's some similarity. And
He get that from me.
probably. But for a while, I began to start kind of playing around with that energy as well, just going to grocery stores even. And so I may see a parent with a kid and a baby that's just crying. You can tell they're like just frustrated. The baby won't stop crying type thing. And I'll stand back and I will consciously send that love energy to that child. And then it's been plenty of times where a kid would just look up off the shoulder and just look straight at it and stop crying. And the parent had to turn around like, what just happened? So you can direct it in certain places pretty easily, which allows you to see the reality of it, if that makes sense. When my daughter was small and would start crying in the crib, and before I go run in, just say, oh, what's wrong? I would stop, because we had, of course, a little baby monitor. We can kind of have one in our room, one in the room with us, so we can hear. And so I would just stop and consciously send her love. Often for her, she's a little stubborn. At least she was. And, so the first, when I first started doing it, she would scream louder. Kick her arms a little louder for about 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, she would start giggling. Every single time. Every single time. It was like there was a little resistance to it first, but then complete surrender. And so by the time she started giggling, then I would go in and check her. Right? I'm like, oh, what's going on? So it is possible to direct that energy, yet to know that you are loved, to know that you are lovable, to know that not only are you lovable, but you're lovable forever. And to just be, to operate from that place is a gift for yourself. But as you said earlier, the people in the room around you are becoming healed. So it's a gift for others around you as well. So to start that love from within, that's a powerful way to do it.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
And like I said, that using that type of energy to know that you are loved. And that's part of the reason why, like I said, I'm visualizing coming from within myself. It's already in me. And whether you're thinking about it from that perspective or thinking about it coming from a higher source, the way that you're saying, both ways, it doesn't matter. It's an unlimited source of love. Love is that thing that as you give it away, you get more of it. It grows, it multiplies. So you want to give it away as much as you can, just like, here you go, here you go, here you go. And it just multiplies just continuously. And to not just do it, to not just do it with the people that's in the household with you, not just to gift it to your family, but to gift it to other people, to gift it to other things, to gift it to your business, to gift it to your bank account, to gift it to whatever it is, to gift it to the bills that come out. I remember some years back, and we had some medical stuff to kind of take place. We didn't have insurance in place. And so I had all these bills just laid out on the kitchen table, just covered the whole kitchen table. It was just crazy. And just kind of looking at them, and it was just, a painful experience. It was just, ooh, I don't have any deals coming in to pay for this, whatever. It was like all this stuff. And then Angie started writing a smiley face in the checkbook. I'm like, what are you writing a smiley face in the checkbook? Ain't nothing happy about that. But then it began to change my perspective a bit. It's just like, that means the money coming. That means as I'm looking at this, I can be happy. And so even though it wasn't any funds in the account right then, right? That time was out there, definitely not to cover all of these bills, but looking at it from that perspective of love, just giving love to it, and to begin to give love to all the bills and to all the creditors, because they all trusted me enough, they all loved me enough to say, I trust you to pay me down the line. That's an honor. If you think about it, that's a real honor for somebody. I think I had over $80,000 of medical bills sitting there. It's just like, but that's an honor that they would go ahead and do this stuff for me, trusting that I would pay later. And, it was nice that even though sitting there looking at it, there was no physical way of being able to pay any of that off. But by the time I started going into that place of love, to look at this stuff from a place of love, and the images start to come to mind of being able to start paying some stuff down. There's that visualization starts coming into place. I'm seeing it paying off. I'm seeing more happy faces drawn in the checkbook. I'm seeing that this one paid off. This one's paid off. This one's paid off. This one's, and I'm starting to see this all in this process of just sitting there. And I'm just beaming, I'm radiating this love, this great energy. And within a year's time, it was all paid. Less than a year's time, all this paid off. That's the power of love. Yeah. To be able to take what appears to be your reality and to just transform it to something completely different. Mm-hmm. To transform it into something that you can look at and truly just be at peace with. It's like, I love this. Yeah. But it takes being able to love that which doesn't look good to be able to have that experience of loving what looks phenomenal. But we're able to do that because that's who we are. We are that love. And so we connect to who we are. just now, just a matter of being you. You know, you know, instead of all these thoughts, instead of all this, you know, all this anger, of all these this littleness that we're trying to build up and think about, to just let that go and allow ourselves to be who we are.
I really like what you said about directing your love. And this is a small example, but there was this tree that I used to see every day, and it was like dying. And I was like, I'm just gonna love that tree every day. And so I would just love on that tree, and it was a walnut tree. And so every day I would count how many walnuts are on the tree. And it was just wonderful just watching that tree blossom and come back to life. And I was just like, just pouring my love and energy on that tree.
Nice.
And then the other thing, as far as directing love, a lot of times that's what I do. If there's some difficult situation, or like you were talking about fear, for example. So a lot of times, like I tend to be a person who will shy away from people, don't want to have conversations, because that stuff, it makes me fearful. And so one of the things that I learned to do is, instead of me focusing on the fear of it all, I just focus on, let me just send love to these people, to each person. I'm sending you love. And so that just makes my fear vanish, and I think whatever communication we end up having is so much greater than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I just had this flashback to talking with you before. I can't remember if it was on a podcast or just a conversation with you before. When you were talking about going out to the park, you was running, there was a couple out there and they didn't seem to speak or anything. And then one day you started, I guess, you know, my only word could be that you were gifting them love. And then they started speaking.
Right.
You know, like y'all knew each other and
Right.
stuff, you know. And, you know, so love could be applied into just so many different scenarios along the way. Just everything that we do, just to infuse it. I can't remember the gentleman's name now, but there was a guy from Hawaii. The thing he would say is ho'oponopono. And I forget exactly what that means, but I think love was one of those words. I think it was, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. Something else, I can't remember what that piece was. And he, I remember when he was talking, he was saying he went to a mental hospital where they was just kind of, everybody was all kind of crazy. It was a heart hospital to work in even. And he went in just simply sending that love, just sending this ho'oponopono energy throughout the hospital, not seeing any patients, and everyone became healed.
Wow. Wow.
You know, I mean, that's the power of love.
Yeah.
That's a powerful thing right there.
Now, this topic is a powerful topic, and it's one we could continue to talk about, because there's so many different things in my head that I want to say. However, we are out of time. Yeah, so this is wonderful, because when you think about love, a lot of times, like you say, we think about it in a narrow focus, and it's often fear-based. But just the whole idea of, I guess, put it out there in the universe, like, what is unconditional love? I want to experience that for myself, and then experiencing it or expressing it outward, just the power that it has to heal, to change, to create, just the whole gamut.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you for joining us again this week, and will you join us next week as well?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Well, we've enjoyed talking about the power of love with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Make sure you subscribe. Click the button and say subscribe, and comment below. Anything that you have, any questions that you may have, or anything that you may want to say about the power of love. Thank you. Until next time. This is Arvat.
This is Scott.